Let's get one thing painfully clear from the start. Your biggest threat isn't the person glaring at you from across the room. It's the one smiling warmly, laughing at your jokes, maybe even handing you your favorite coffee order while quietly wishing you'd vanish from existence. Gone, erased, out of the picture. Sounds like a movie plot? Maybe. But the truth, it's far more terrifying than fiction. Because right now, this very moment, someone in your life could be plotting your downfall. And you'd never see it coming until it's already too late. Hatred is easy to spot. It's loud, it's aggressive, but murderous. Intent, that's quiet, polished, friendly. It wears a charming smile and speaks in compliments. It hides behind Instagram filters and casual "how've you been" texts. And the most terrifying part, most people don't recognize the danger until they're already bleeding. This video isn't about fear. It's about survival. It's about learning to read between the lines, because what you don't see can hurt you. What you're about to learn are 5 disturbing, psychologically backed signs that someone doesn't just dislike you. They want you gone. Permanently. These aren't wild guesses. They're not paranoid theories. They're real behaviors. Subtle, chilling patterns rooted in psychological manipulation, and recognizing them could quite literally save your life. So before we dive into the shadows, do yourself a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Because after this, you'll never see friendly the same way again. Let's begin. Sign number 1. The silent observer. Let's start with one of the most chilling and dangerously overlooked behaviors. A sign so subtle, most people miss it completely. I call it the silent observer. This isn't just a harmless social media lurker. It's not the local gossip who knows too much. This is something far more calculated, deliberate, sinister. These people don't just watch you. They study you. They memorize your schedule, analyze your routines, and collect details about your life with a disturbing level of precision. Not curiosity-reconnaissance. And the scariest part, they do it silently, flawlessly, so quietly that even the most observant people miss it, until it's far too late. Picture this. Someone knows your coffee order, yet you've never even spoken to them. They just happen to be at the gym when you are, at the park, at the grocery store, always where you are, always at the same time. Coincidence? Maybe once, but over and over again. Eventually, it stops feeling random. It starts feeling like a pattern, and we've been trained to dismiss patterns like that, to call it paranoia, to laugh it off. But predators count on that. They weaponize your doubt, your politeness, your fear of being too dramatic. I once heard a story about a woman named Christine, a mid-level manager. Nothing out of the ordinary. She had broken up with her boyfriend months earlier, but she started seeing him everywhere. At her gym, outside her job, in the parking lot of her grocery store. At first, she thought he was just having trouble letting go. But then she changed gyms, rerouted her morning drive, started shopping across town, and still he appeared. Never speaking, never threatening, just watching. Her friends said it was harmless, that he was just obsessed. But Christine eventually saw what they didn't. This wasn't obsession. It was premeditation. This wasn't about getting back together. It was about control, about tracking her life until the moment came to act. And that, right there, is what makes the silent observer so dangerous. Because it doesn't look like a threat until it's far too late. That's the chilling reality of the silent observer. They don't raise alarms, they lower your guard. And according to the Stoics, appearances are never to be trusted at face value. Think about what Epictetus taught. A wise person doesn't just observe others. They remain vigilant, especially over their own peace and sense of order. So when something or someone begins disrupting that inner balance, when a person appears too often, knows too much, and yet has no reason to be that close, that's not a coincidence. That's your call to investigate, not excuse. We live in a world where surveillance doesn't need binoculars or a van parked across the street. It just needs a follow request, access through mutual friends, a glance at your daily routines, your favorite coffee shop, gym, park, posts, habits. And most of us, we guard our passwords more carefully than we guard our personal patterns. But here's the part no one wants to admit. The most dangerous people you'll ever meet aren't the ones who shout or throw punches. They're the ones who smile warmly while cataloging your every move. And this isn't about fear-mongering. It's about discernment. The Stoics taught that wisdom begins with clear observation and ends with decisive action. So when someone repeatedly shows up in your life without reason, when you never invited them in, yet they're always there, that's not fate. That's a red flag. Pay attention to patterns. Question the coincidences. Listen to your gut, because your discomfort, that's not paranoia. It's insight. When your inner peace feels disturbed, don't dismiss it. Honor it. Because sometimes the most dangerous people in your life aren't the ones who raise their voice. They're the ones who study you quietly, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Sign 2. The saboteur strategy. Now let's move from silent surveillance to something even more insidious: sabotage. Here's a disturbing psychological truth. Studies show that when someone hears a lie about a person, even if that lie is later proven false, it still affects how they perceive that person. Think about that. A lie can leave a stain, even after the truth comes out. That's what makes the saboteur strategy so dangerous. This isn't someone seeking petty revenge. This is someone who doesn't just want you hurt. They want you isolated, alone, cut off from every support system you have. They're not throwing shade. They're waging a silent war on your reputation. A quiet, calculated campaign of character assassination. By the time you notice what's happening, the damage has already begun to spread. They don't attack loudly. They whisper to your boss. They hint that you're unreliable. To your friends, they suggest you've changed, maybe become toxic. But they'll never confront you directly. No bold accusations. That would give them away. Instead, they plant seeds of doubt, suspicion, mistrust. And because each moment feels isolated, because no single event feels like a big deal, no one realizes they're part of something larger. Even you might start to spiral. You begin questioning your reality, wondering why everything seems to be falling apart all at once. But that's the genius of the saboteur strategy. Calculated fragmentation. These people don't act on emotion. They act with intent. They orchestrate drama that makes you look unstable. They move behind the scenes, pulling strings that unravel your reputation in both your personal and professional life. And the most twisted part? They often pose as the victim, or worse, as the concerned friend, the one who just wants to help. Meanwhile, they're systematically tearing down every connection you have, until you're left standing, completely alone. From a Stoic lens, the saboteur's tactic is especially insidious, because it doesn't just attack your reputation. It targets something much deeper: your clarity, your calm, your inner strength, the very qualities Stoicism trains us to protect. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." But when a saboteur is operating in your life, the obstacle isn't something to grow from. It becomes a toxic fog that clouds your judgment. It confuses your instincts. And worst of all, it pulls you away from reflection and into reaction. Suddenly, you're caught in a trap, trying to prove your innocence, trying to defend your name, trying to explain things that should never have needed defending. And the more you speak, the guiltier you seem. This is why awareness, not reaction, is your first and greatest defense. Don't chase every rumor. Don't play their game. Anchor yourself in evidence. Preserve your integrity, but also protect yourself strategically. Document everything: emails, messages, timelines. Keep your truth sharp and your circle intentional. Don't let emotion drive your choices. Let clarity guide your actions. And most importantly, remember what both Stoics and Scripture affirm. Character is revealed over time, not in moments of chaos. People may be misled for a while, but truth, like the soul, endures. So, when someone keeps showing up around every conflict, always nearby, always listening, but never the one to be named, that's not coincidence. That's coordination. You're not dealing with a drama queen. You're confronting a strategist of destruction. And the first step to winning that battle: refuse to play their game. Sign 3. The false friend Facadeno. Here's where it gets especially dark. The third, and possibly most deceptive sign that someone doesn't just hate you. They may be quietly engineering your downfall. The false friend facade. It's one of the oldest tactics in human history, and yet still one of the hardest to recognize. We're conditioned to believe that kindness equals virtue, that a warm smile means trust, that someone reaching out means they care. But when someone pivots seemingly overnight, from distant acquaintance to deeply invested friend, especially without any emotional history or real reason, that's not comfort. That's a warning, because these individuals, they're not here to earn your trust. They're building access. What seems like concern is actually a calculated performance. They start asking detailed questions about your schedule, your relationships, your fears, your past trauma. But they're not trying to help you heal. They're building a dossier, gathering intelligence. They start visiting your family, linger around your workspace, help with errands or offer favors. But it's not support. It's surveillance. And every personal detail you share, it becomes a weapon. Another piece of leverage. Another weakness to exploit. What makes this so twisted is that, at first, it feels good. It feels like someone finally sees you, listens, cares. But behind that warmth is a cold, calculating mind. A mind mapping your life like a tactician, not for friendship, but for infiltration. From a Stoic perspective, this is chilling. Seneca once said, "A friend is someone you trust with your soul." But he didn't stop there. He warned that trust must be earned, not handed freely to anyone who smiles and listens well. The Stoics taught us the art of discernment, what they call sophron, or wise moderation. And when it comes to your inner circle, that discernment might be your last line of defense. Because the most dangerous betrayals don't come from enemies. They come from those who seem closest, and often too close, too fast. You have to pause, step back, and ask the question no one wants to confront. What do they really want? It's dangerously easy to confuse familiarity with friendship, to believe that warmth means safety. But predators know that too, and they use it. They'll mirror your language, echo your frustrations, share just enough vulnerability to make you feel seen, heard, safe. Meanwhile, behind that comforting facade, they're building a file on you, storing every detail like a spy assembling a target profile. And because they wear empathy like a mask, wrapped in charm, in gentle smiles, in "I'm just here for you" energy, no one suspects a thing. Not your friends, not your co-workers, not even you, until it's too late. So here's what you need to do. Slow the relationship down. Guard your privacy like your peace depends on it. Because it does. Ask yourself, why does this person suddenly care about parts of my life they never showed interest in before? Real friendship takes time. It grows in layers, gradually, with earned trust. But sabotage? Sabotage hides in speed. Trust isn't just about who makes you feel good. It's about who keeps you safe, especially when your back is turned. The false friend doesn't simply want your loyalty. They want your vulnerabilities. And the moment they've collected enough, they'll know exactly where to strike. So yes, be kind. Be warm. But be wise. Because when evil wears a friendly face, it's not connection. It's camouflage. Sign for escalating aggression. Let's now look at one of the most horrifying and dangerously overlooked warning signs. Something I call calculated escalation. When someone harbors intentions darker than anger or jealousy, they rarely begin with violence. No, they condition you first. Test the waters. Gauge how much you'll tolerate, slowly, silently, step by step, until what once shocked you now feels almost normal. It often starts with subtle aggression, casual jokes laced with disturbing undertones, offhand comments like, "I could kill you right now," followed by a smile, or "If I disappeared someone, you'd never find them," laughed off as edgy humor. But make no mistake, these are not jokes. They're probes, deliberate, calculated, tests to measure your fear, your awareness, and your boundaries. Let me tell you a true story, one that still haunts investigators to this day. In 2016, a young woman named Leah had just moved into a new apartment complex. Fresh out of college, new job, new city, And there, she met Adam, a neighbor. Awkward, but polite. Helpful, even at first. It seemed harmless. Adam started showing up more often. He offered to carry groceries. He happened to share elevator rides. He asked oddly specific questions about Leah's daily routines. And then, at a casual cookout with other residents, he made a comment that drew some awkward laughs. He said, "I'd make a great killer. I know how to get rid of evidence." Everyone laughed. Leah forced a smile. But deep down, something felt off. Still, she shrugged it off. But then, things began to change. Adam started getting physically closer. Too close. He began appearing in the hallway right as Leah left for work, brushing against her shoulder. Without apology, he once blocked her apartment door, claiming he needed to talk. And then it escalated. One night, Leah came home to find a hunting knife laid neatly on her welcome mat. No note, no message, just the weapon. When she reported it, authorities brushed it off as a prank. But Leah didn't. She installed a security camera, changed her locks, started documenting every single interaction. Within a month, the footage revealed it all. Adam at 2 a.m. wearing gloves, carrying a black duffel bag, trying to pick Leah's lock. He was arrested that night. What they found afterward was even more chilling. A detailed journal in his apartment, notes on Leah's daily routine, her favorite coffee shop, her gym schedule, her walking route, and worst of all, a section labeled execution window. Let that sink in. This is the terrifying reality. Violent individuals almost never begin violently. They start with behaviors that feel benign, a joke, an offhand comment, an accidental brush of the shoulder. But it's not random. It's all part of a psychological conditioning script, and the goal, to desensitize you, to blur the line between what's safe and what's not. The Stoics were clear on this. They didn't encourage paranoia, but they taught preparedness, awareness. Seneca said, "He who is forewarned is forearmed." So if someone in your life consistently crosses boundaries and then laughs it off, like it's no big deal, pay attention. If their jokes are laced with threats, if they test your personal space more and more, if they don't seem interested in connecting, but rather in studying you, that is not a personality quirk. That is a red flag, and ignoring it might cost you more than your peace of mind. It could cost you your life. Sign 5. The patient predator. No, we've arrived at the 5th and final sign, and without question, the most dangerous one of them all, the patient predator. This isn't the person who explodes in anger. It's not the one who hurls threats or acts erratically. No. This is the coldest kind of enemy, the one who hides behind time. Their weapon isn't rage. It's restraint. They don't want messy revenge. They don't want attention. They don't want confrontation. They want to win. Quietly, completely, permanently. The Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, warned about this type of threat. The long game. The person whose actions are not impulsive, but scripted, rehearsed, perfectly timed. These people can wait months, even years. They study your life patiently until the moment you let your guard down. What makes them so terrifying is not what they do, it's how normal they seem. They don't raise suspicion, they raise trust. They ask about your future plans, not out of care, but out of strategy. They want to know, when will you be home? When will you be out of town? When will you be alone? Every conversation, data collection. Every favor they offer, another layer of the illusion. Every connection they build with your circle, strategic positioning. They might be your most dependable co-worker, the neighbor who waters your plants, the friend who remembers your birthday better than your own family. But behind that smile is a mind rehearsing betrayal. Like a perfectly crafted monologue, Epictetus warned us, our greatest threat is not what we see, it's what we overlook. We assume the world plays fair, that kindness means kindness, that loyalty means loyalty. But when you're dealing with someone who's playing the long game, nothing is what it seems. Their life is a performance. Their charm is bait. And the scariest part, they rarely make mistakes. They don't slip. They wait for you to make a mistake. That one tiny, vulnerable moment. And when you drop your guard, that's when they strike. And because you trusted them, because they wore a familiar face, you never saw it coming. So what can you do? Be slow to trust. Especially with those who rush closeness without reason. People who accelerate intimacy out of nowhere don't want connection, they want access. Guard your plans. Keep your boundaries sacred. Be kind, yes, but never confuse kindness with blind access. Because the Stoic in you must stay awake, especially when nothing seems wrong. That's when danger often wears its calmest mask. Now let's be brutally honest. If any part of this video made someone come to mind, don't brush it off. Don't gaslight yourself into silence. Don't call it an overreaction. Because if you've seen signs of a silent observer, a saboteur, a false friend, an escalating aggressor, or a patient predator in your life, then this isn't just about negativity. This isn't drama. This is survival. You might be standing in the crosshairs of something far more dangerous than you imagined. So before this video ends, do two things. Save this video. You may need to revisit it when your gut whispers again. Watch the next video on how to spot covert narcissists. Because these 5 behaviors often walk hand in hand with deeply manipulative personality types. Remember, knowledge is your first shield, but action is what keeps you alive. Stay sharp, stay guarded, and above all, stay alive. Let's be real. If your gut has been whispering something's off, this video probably gave you the confirmation you didn't want, but desperately needed. These 5 signs, they're not about paranoia, they're about pattern recognition. Because someone who simply hates you, they might roll their eyes, but someone who wants you gone, they study, they sabotage, they smile, they escalate, and worst of all, they wait. That's not petty, that's predatory. So if one particular nice person popped into your head while watching this, don't ignore that. Your instincts exist for a reason. As the old saying goes, the devil doesn't come dressed in horns. He comes wrapped in everything you ever wanted to trust. If this hit a little too close to home, do two things right now. Subscribe to Stoic Capsule so you're always one step ahead of the game. Share this with someone who might be in the dark, because knowledge is your defense. But sharing it, that could save someone else's life. Stay sharp, stay safe, and never forget, it's not paranoia if they're actually planning your downfall. Trust wisely. And I'll see you in the next one.